Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host Jose, and again, thank you for listening into the podcast for this episode. And to get started, we're going to talk about the news this Friday, or this coming end of the week. And to begin, this is something that happened during my last episode, which I kind of wish it happened sooner so I can report on it on that episode, but whatever, at least content for today. David Dobrik is back on, our topics. He's been kind of all over the social media news, I guess. A lot of people talking about him. There's a lot of buzz around his name, about what he's done. And yeah, he recently put out an apology video, just regarding the whole allegations with his friends and how he's sort of endorsing it, and some, inappropriate things I probably shouldn't get into, too deep into, but, with the whole vlog squad and people, sort of just doing things that they definitely should not be doing. So he's finally released an apology video after that, and it's gained a lot of traction, and a lot of people are voicing their opinions on it. It has a total of 8.6 million views on YouTube, with 615,000 likes, but with a whopping 80,000 dislikes, which is honestly surprising for a David Dobrik vlog, or just any video, people disliking his stuff, and people just reacting negatively to what he has put out. And there are some people that felt as if it was forced, the video itself, and the whole the apology and the way he was feeling. People were saying he's just doing this just because, and they had the right to feel that. He put it out at a weird and unfortunate time where he has lost a lot of sponsors and a lot of people that support him, in terms of financials, a lot, especially sponsors and whatnot. They have all been dropped, or at least the majority of them have dropped David because of these allegations. And after he was dropped by the sponsors, then he made the video, and then people are reacting why, what, that's wrong. The only reason why he's putting this out because he wants to get his money back, or he just wants to get his sponsors back. Oh, it's a coincidence he's made this video just after he lost his sponsorship with SeatGeek. And it's very interesting overall just to see the reactions itself between him and his fans. And it's crazy to think that a year ago from where we are, he made a video giving out money and giving out, like I said before in the last episode, giving out these prizes and whatnot to save people from the pandemic. And now I wouldn't say people turned against him, but people are looking at him in a different light now because of what the allegations came to and what they've surfaced to. So the David Dobrik situation is quite unfortunate when it comes to his to the people who was affected by the actions of his friends, his whole career, and the whole world of YouTube, I guess. Even if you support David or not, it still is a crazy sort of ride that this whole YouTube thing has gone through. And and my sincerest condolences to anyone that was affected with his actions, I guess. And and overall, it was a short video. It was definitely better than the first one he put out. It was a video called "Let's Talk," and him addressing just the surface and not really going into detail. And what's ironic was that the video was called "Let's Talk," but he turned off the comments, so it was just him just talking. So that was kind of on his fault on that one for not getting the community involved, all knowing that he was going to get hate, but still sort of just shutting him out. And yeah, David is still under fire, and I still believe that this is going to go on for quite a bit of a long time. until justice is served for the community and the people affected. And yeah, in terms of YouTube news, also, YouTube is incorporating hashtag shorts into their trending page, or just, I guess, their whole platform itself. And basically, I think of it, or it's seen as kind of like short videos, very similar to TikTok, although they're not limited to a certain time period, like time a stamp of a minute. I believe they're still quite short videos, and as long as you hashtag short in the title, then it's considered as a YouTube short. And again, they're quick, like short videos on comedy, whatever, tips or tricks, how to's, or anything like that. You find them all over the trending page, and people are posting more and more about it. I actually like look through like what even is it, because I don't know, it's I don't want to say it's useless, but there's already services that have sort of implemented that as their full function, like TikTok and like maybe even Instagram, where you can just scroll through and find these things. So it's really interesting to see on why did YouTube even try to incorporate that into their platform, even though they know TikTok is one of the biggest apps. Maybe because they want to combat it, but then again, YouTube. The only reason why YouTube is better than TikTok is because they have longer videos. That's their main selling point. It's that they can have full-length videos, even sometimes movies, and minutes long videos and whatnot. And that's why it's like more popular than TikTok. The strength that TikTok has is because it's so short. So I don't know why they're trying to incorporate something that's not broke, I guess. Like that one thing. If it ain't broke, then why fix it? Like, YouTube already has a lot of what is that called? Like supporters and people coming into their on their website to use it. So it's quite interesting to see, and it brings a question like just overall, just why. It is very new, and maybe they will end it, or maybe they will continue it. We'll see in the future. I personally don't think it's gonna do that well, just because, like I said, there's already TikTok, and from what I've seen, people that were posting TikTok content onto the YouTube Shorts thing. So. Maybe it's better for the individual because they get more sort of views and more recognition on multiple platforms. But in terms of the service as a whole, and I guess just YouTube, there is really no reason, in my opinion, to do that. Just because, like I said, TikTok is there, and people are using TikTok more than YouTube when it comes to short videos. But YouTube is there for longer videos. So yeah, going on Twitter. Oh, sorry, go back to YouTube. There's not really much when it comes to this Friday, just because a lot of the stuff was already happening on YouTube last episode. And same information, same like YouTubers, same type of content like Fortnite, how-to videos, music videos, Grammy stuff like that. Very same thing, nothing standing out, no videos or anything that are standing out, so which is fine, again, but which is kind of interesting. The feet, F-E-E-T, the phrase is trending on Twitter, and it's kind of an interesting thing. I looked at it and I'm like, why is it like that? But then I looked at the thread on Twitter, and then let me pull up the screenshot of it because I had to screenshot it first. But so basically, here's what the title is, or here's like the headline is for that. Former White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany? I don't know how to pronounce it. Kayleigh McEnany misspelled feet, like F-E-A-T, as feet. So that's what her tweet was. Keep in mind, like feet, like the actual foot, like the body part, that's what she spelled. So President Biden begins his first press conference by touting the rate of vaccines being administered, a feat solely made possible by President Trump's Operation Warp Speed. So, it's definitely nothing newsworthy. It's like people misspell stuff all the time, and people are kind of pressed. People are mad about that. Although Kayleigh was sort of, I guess, bashing on President Biden's ability to tout the vaccines. People are just trying to find ways to I guess just dig on her spelling mistake and just keep going at it, which is really, really interesting. And it's quite typical for the internet to do with any sort of person, not just regardless of their political stance. If you misspell something online, you will get roasted and you will be made fun of, and that's just the way it is on the internet. Let me see. Look at some of the replies. Fred Wellman said 500,000 dead is not a feat, it's a failure. people are getting upset about like you shouldn't be bashing against Biden as Trump did this and whatnot. I don't really want to go into politics just because it's a topic that's very it's not sensitive, but it's something that I'm not well educated on and I don't really want to speak upon it. But I'm just reading some of the tweets that some people have said. Yeah, there's just some people just making memes out of it, people just joking at it, and people are just sort of like using what she said back to her. And overall, it's not a big deal in my opinion. People have misspelled stuff all the time on the internet, and it's definitely something, again, like not newsworthy. I thought it was just funny because political person misspelled feet and just used the wrong feet. And even though she could have just easily just deleted it after she got some of the hate and then just reposted with the same feet, but she just kept it instead of ground, I guess. But yeah, that was really it for Twitter, I guess. There wasn't much coming up this week just because Monday was filled with a bunch of stuff, especially like that Snyder Cut. More people are still talking about that all over social media, and like I see it all the time on like Instagram and whatnot. Just people's like, come on, they pull out the put out the Ayer cut and make Zack Snyder one of the head directors for Warner Brothers or whatnot. So people are still petitioning for improvement among Warner Brothers and the whole Justice League. But again, that's it. That's really been going on Twitter and on TikTok. I'm looking at some of the trending hashtags, and some of these hashtags, if you want to, I guess, up your game or get involved with trends. Here's some of them. So hashtag puppies only. This is kind of like self-explanatory. A lot of these hashtags are self-explanatory, but hashtag puppies only, and basically just show a video of you and your puppy or your dog, and you will get, I guarantee, thousands of views. Not all the time, but you will get a lot of views if you get on the right sort of algorithm there on TikTok. Just because like so many people love, who doesn't love dogs? Even if you're a cat person, or even if you are allergic to dogs, I feel like people still love the the cute little dogs and whatnot. And I personally have a dog myself too, and I love her so much. Gets on my nerves sometimes, but I love her so much. And yeah, and that's trending. Hashtag inspirational quotes. So again, post a TikTok with some of your inspirational quotes that I sort of live by, and people will love that. Do I have any inspirational quotes? I know the one from Batman is one of my favorites. Batman said it in I think the beginning. That was a really loud noise that I made there. I'm sorry about that. But I think Batman said it in the first movie. It was like, it's not who I am that defines me, but it's what I do that defines me. I don't know if he says defines me second time, but that's one of the favorite quotes that I have from movies, which is pretty cool. And hashtag don't sweat it. I think it's like a sweater trend where you do. I think you just show off your sweater, like a hoodie or whatever, or something you're matching with your bae or your boo. In terms of a hoodie and stuff like that. I don't really know much about that one. I didn't look at that one that much, but it seemed like it was something just showing off your sweater or showing off your hoodie, and don't sweat it, or just or I guess make a TikTok in your sweats or whatever. Definitely check it out if you can. Hashtag side table. People are showing what's on their side, like bedside table, what they have on it. People have plants, some was it like incense? People have candles, people have lights, and people just showing off or not flexing, but oh, this is how I styled my nightstand. So a really interesting trend. I'm not sure where they got the idea from, but again, nonetheless, it's still kind of it's unique and it's different. So that's why people kind of resonate with that heavily. And yeah, I think that's really cool. And last thing is hashtag style hacks. Basically, hacks when it comes to style or how to style yourself, or certain things you can do to hack your style. So all these different types of things, and you don't necessarily have to do any of these on TikTok. These are just popular hashtags on TikTok that are trending right now. You can literally just make a random video and just incorporate these, and hopefully people will find them and people will think they're interesting. I know people do that too sometimes to make their content known. They just put random hashtags that don't even relate to it on their content, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I think that's really it for the news this week. There wasn't really, I keep saying this all the time, but there really wasn't much this week, and which is good, I guess. But yeah, that's really it for this week when it comes to news. So in my next segment, I want to talk about an influencer of the day. And yeah, I know last week I talked about, or no, sorry, not last week, but last episode I talked about, like, celebrities can be influencers too. So this episode, I'm going to talk about a celebrity, and one of my favorites, Billie Eilish. So I'm going to talk about her uprising, her presence on social media, and what she's been like, and what she does on social media. So yeah. And yeah, I'm going to take a quick break real quick. I'm going to take a quick break real quick, and I will see you all soon.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Alright, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Now, last segment, I, talked about Billie Eilish and how she's an influencer on social media, and I kind of want to get into this segment where I talk about influencers and whatnot, and she's honestly, like I said, one of my favorite influencers, I think right now, just because of what she represents on social media and what she does, and she's very young, and, she reaches a lot of younger demographics, which is really, really cool, and I really appreciate that. So, Billie Eilish, she has 79.7 million Instagram followers with 0 people following. She has 5.6 million followers on Twitter with 0 following. And she has 17.4 million TikTok followers with, you guessed it, 0 following, which is really interesting. A lot of celebrities tend to do this where they have 0 people following them, or they follow 0 people, and I don't know if it's like in like a certain like basis where they're famous. I don't think they think they're too high for other people, but I think it's just more on like this profile is made specifically only for the fans and their interactions and the news for like the fans from Billie Eilish. So like maybe out there Billie Eilish has her own private Instagram account that's really connected with just her personal friends and personal family and whatnot. So, and no one knows about it because people are distracted with her actual, or not actual, but her like bigger account with the 79.7 million followers. So I think it's just like, this could be just a more of like a marketing sort of standpoint when it comes to that. I do believe that she still like, runs it, but she has someone else that helps run it too. And, which is, it could be pretty cool. And yeah, so a little bit of backstory. Right now she's a 19-year-old, singer and songwriter, artist. And she was born on December 18th, 2001, so that makes her 19 years old, and I think she's around my age. I think I'm older than her. Pretty cool, she's around my age, and she's making that much, like, she's making music like that, and that successful, which is awesome. Glad to see that represent, the younger generation, which is dope. And she's been making music since 2015, with her first album, which is like, more of an individual. There was no studio. It was just her and her brother Phineas. Album title of Don't Smile at Me, which consists of Burn, Ocean Eyes, Bellyache. I'm really missing a lot more, but honestly one of my favorite albums from her, just because you can definitely feel that it's just Billie Eilish, no one else, no other like studio influence. It's just her making music, which is awesome. And I think, she was just 13 years old when that's like the whole album came out. So if you do listen to it now, her voice sounds the same to what she is now as 19 to what she was when she was 13. And that's awesome. That's crazy, but like that's awesome that she was able to make music and be quite successful with it at a young age. And one of her first songs, Fingers Crossed, was released on SoundCloud, and that's sort of like where she got her foot in, and she even said that she wanted to. She was just like, I mean, she was just putting out music just for the fun of it. There was no purpose to make music. There was no I mean, I guess there was some sort of purpose to gain traction, but not to the point where she was now. Like I said, she was doing it just to have fun. She wasn't really doing much with it, and yeah, I think it's really, really cool that she's able to do that, and at such a young age. And I remember the first time I saw her, like in a YouTube video was when she did, I guess one of the lyric breakdown videos on Genius, and I saw the video for Copycat, which is also in the same album, Don't Smile at Me. And I looked at her, and she had like the glasses on. I think like a Gucci jacket on, and I thought she like, oh, this is cool. She has like a cool outfit or not. She like, and she looked like she was like 20 during that video, and then she revealed that she was 13. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. It's crazy how young she is and still be able to make content or music at such a young age that would seem like it was for older people. And yeah, it's awesome. And I remember hearing her sing was really cool. And I was like, wow, she has a really nice voice. And yeah, immediately fell in love with her music after that, and what she represented as a whole is she was more like, I'm a young person, I'm doing something different, and people like my music, I guess. And yeah, so further into 2015, on November 18th of 2015, actually, she released Ocean Eyes, and this was actually before her Don't Smile at Me album, but Ocean Eyes was one of her first big hits ever, and I can see why, because it's one of my favorite songs from that album, and that and Bellyache. But yeah, Ocean Eyes is one of her most popular songs from that album, and it still kind of is. When people think of Billie Eilish, think of Ocean Eyes, Bad Guy, which is a song I'm going to mention later, and a bunch of other things. With 413 million streams, which is absolutely crazy for a song to reach like that, and I believe that went triple platinum after she released it, and yeah, it's been successful ever since. And like I said, it's been a song that I've been listening to not ever since it came out, but around 2017 I've been listening to it, and the song never gets old. One of my favorite songs from Billie Eilish, and yeah, it's really, really cool. And after the album, there was so much success, and more people were listening to her, and she even did so since I live near Philly, right outside of it, she did a show in the Fillmore, I believe. And I've been to the Fillmore for a different concert before. Shout out Logic. And I knew the venue, and I knew how it was gonna be. I wasn't sure because I think it's for the Fillmore, actually. I'm not sure. I can definitely. Now I think about it, it probably wasn't the Fillmore, but nonetheless, I don't like being in crowds just because I can't really see over them unless I get in the front. And yeah, it's just I was about to go to a concert in Philly, but for some reason I didn't. I was gonna go with some friends, but I didn't, and I kind of regret that because tickets were cheap, and now she's where she's at, and they're impossible to get now, unless you want really far back seats for her. Then in 2016, she signed with Apple Music as her music began to grow, and as her I guess as she matured more into an artist, I mean. And yeah, in 2016, signed with Apple Music, got some exclusive deals. I think she had a documentary on there, and she even had exclusive, I don't think exclusive songs, but I know exclusive content on Apple Music. And she'd be the face of some billboards for Apple Music. She would be the face for certain magazines or certain promotions for Apple Music, which is really, really cool. I think she was probably 15 at the time, so that must be surreal as a 15-year-old. I remember when I was 15, I was a freshman in high school, and I was not doing anything. So that must have been surreal for her, which is seeing that success at such a young age. And then within the next couple years, her success only continued, and more people were still listening to her music. And at the time, the only music that they really listened to from 2016 was Don't Smile at Me. That was the only sort of music she had as she began to blow up. Now in 2019, around 3 years after the first album came out, she debuted her first studio album called When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? I know, kind of a long title, but still effective. Yeah, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? And this album was definitely a lot darker, than the first album. If you look at the album cover artwork of the first one, the Don't Smile at Me, it was like it's yellow, red, and it's got a lot of like colors to it, and it's got Billie Eilish in the middle of it. But when you look at the When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go album cover, it's a lot darker, it's a lot grittier, and just, like, she kind of has like a scary, like demonic face, kind of even. And it was kind of surprising because knowing her audience, it was very, very young. Her audience is very young, and there's a lot of people like even like middle school or even elementary school listening to her music, which is really like crazy. Not in a bad way, but like it was interesting to see that sort of change. And one of her more popular songs on that album, Bad Guy, had reached over 1 billion streams, and that was one of the most popular songs ever. Like when it comes like to her or just the music industry itself, she was able to do that. And I remember Bad Guy was successful. She had her childhood idol Justin Bieber feature on one of the songs, which, in my opinion, the feature, like the one of Justin Bieber wasn't that as good as the original, but yeah. They would play it on the radio, and I would constantly hear it on the radio between my junior to senior year of high school, and I would just be Bad Guy would always be playing, and it would always be like on the radio, and like even on my own personal playlist, it was still like played too, and like it was everywhere. And that's when I feel like Billie Eilish really did truly blow up. I think she sort of revolutionized the way music and aesthetics sort of go hand in hand together. Obviously, you've had multiple people say, like, even previous bands like AC/DC with a whole sort of dark, gritty, like even quote unquote demonic sort of aesthetic. When say with their Highway to Hell, I believe, album came out, with the horns and whatnot. That was like, that sort of revolutionized it, and Billie Eilish, I feel like, is also changing that up for definitely a younger generation. Because people often look down upon that because, like, well, wow, why are you promoting this type of music? But it's more, I feel like it's more on like the aesthetic itself than the actual like music or content it is. And if you do watch some of her music videos, it's quite interesting because a lot of them are really dark and gritty. And I believe that's more in terms of the aesthetic itself, not the whole message. She's not really praising that. She's I guess it's more on the way it looks. It's interesting. And if you don't really know who Billie Eilish is, or if you don't really like listen to her music that much, and if you haven't, go definitely check it out. Just because she is she's a rising star. If you may think that she's made it already, remember she's only put out 2 albums. We've had like artists who put out several, like 5 albums within their whole music career and still isn't at the level where Billie Eilish is. So, she's only put out 2 albums, and she's able to do a lot of greater things in the future. And so she's so young, she has been able to, I guess, like, influence a lot of people. And I think one of my favorite things about her is her influence on social media, where she was able to promote positivity amongst other people and amongst everyone. And like I mentioned last episode, I believe like Mark Ruffalo and like Gal Gadot and like them they promote a lot of positive things on social media. I believe Billie Eilish does too. During the whole Black Lives Matter movement, during the whole COVID-19 pandemic, she was always advocating for what's good. So like, with the whole movement, she would always, promote, like, this isn't the end. This is always like, this is a problem that we need to fix, and it's something like, messages like those, and she's always reminding people to fight for change and whatnot, and which is really good, and helping inspire a generation of young people. And especially with the whole COVID thing, she also talks about like, wear your masks, always stay safe, and people like keep other people safe. So she's always advocating for I guess positive things, and I really do admire her for that, just because not a lot of people do that. Although people like Gal Gadot or Mark Ruffalo, these are a lot older generations. When it comes to younger people, some people tend to forget that they have a large following and only see the material things like the money, the followers. People tend to forget that their followers are real people who will be influenced with what you put out. And Billie Eilish sort of like, I guess, remembers that sort of aspect. She has a large following. She has people that follow her, and she has an influence on people. So she uses that in a more positive sense. And yeah, And a fun fact about Billie Eilish, she's a big fan of The Office. And that's actually something I really want to talk about in my next segment, where I don't know if anyone has noticed, but the Office has gone quite popular within these past couple of years, and I want to know, kind of dive deep into why is it popular, why is it trending, why are people talking about it so much, and yeah, we'll talk about that in my next segment. But first, we're gonna take a quick break, so I'll see you in a second.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Now, I left off last segment talking about, why is The Office so popular again? What makes it popular? And, to be frank, I don't really know myself, because it's a really interesting show. It's one of my top 10 shows. I'll give it top 10. I wouldn't say top 5 or even top 3, because, I don't know, I've a bunch of other shows I would put up there, but yeah, the Office is very interesting, and why is it gaining so much popularity within social media? I don't know if you've noticed, I don't know if people, whoever's listening has used social media before, but, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of stuff talking about The Office in a more positive way, nothing controversial, I think, but I kind of want to dive deep into why people are even talking about this, because it's such not an old show, but it's quite dated in certain things, and it has run its course, and why are people still talking about it? So, I think one of the first main reasons why it's still popular is because of certain streaming services. I don't know why I fumbled up that one so badly, but yeah, of streaming services, and specifically Netflix. And as everyone knows, a lot of people tend to use Netflix for their entertainment. That's where a lot of people go to find a quick movie to watch, and Netflix and chill, and or even just watch on their own, watch while you're bored or whatever. And I think Office was one of the main shows that was very, very popular on Netflix, and I think it was one of the top shows. You would literally open up Netflix and then just find The Office in the main page, because it was that popular. That's a lot of people were watching it, and people having access to The Office on streaming services, they would be they're more inclined to watch it and binge it, because I heard good things about The Office, let me watch this. And as more and more people found out that The Office was kind of funny, more and more people began to tell other people, and tell people oh, you have Netflix, watch this, and it's sort of that passing idea type of thing. And now that I think Peacock has it, so Comcast, Peacock has it now. They own the rights to The Office. It's been removed from Netflix and has been on Peacock, I think, for I think for the past couple months. I think 3 months. It was quite, actually no, I think it was quite earlier this year, but yeah, it's been on Peacock now, and more people are moving to, more inclined to switch to Peacock just to watch The Office. And these streaming services always promote these special shows, and I believe that's why it's sort of gained its what is it, watchability? It's gained its popularity. That's what I mean to say. And I think social media overall has taken over the idea of The Office and the jokes that are within it and the whole popularity of it. Social media plays a big role in that, and for example, like people are gonna be talking about, oh, what happened in this episode, or there's certain threads on Reddit talking about specific scenes from an episode, and more people, like the more talk about the show, the popular it will get. And like I said before, like since The Office is kind of not relatable, but it was a funny and more realistic sort of show rather than the other shows. That's why people resonated with it a lot, is because it's funny and it's somewhat real. And as a person who lives in near Scranton, PA, it's pretty cool passing by sometimes whenever I have to visit other places. And yeah, I think social media has definitely like taken that. I have there's this app called Visco. It's VSCO. It's not a very popular app, but some people tend to use it. It's more of just like a photo sharing app, but not like Instagram at all. There's no stories, nothing. It's really just posting pictures. It's more of like an aesthetic sort of app. But I have this Visco app, and people are always posting like quotes or scenes from the Office that are funny, and those little things really just spread the message about The Office and why it's so entertaining. I think I'm not like. I think like memes kind of like play a big role in that too when it comes to like the online realm. There's a lot of quotable things that Michael Scott says or even other characters say on the show. And there was this one meme, it was like, everyone stay calm, it's happening. Like that sort of, if you know, then like that's one scene in the show. Then people tend to use that scene as a reaction type of meme to certain things. Like, oh, when your friend finally gets a girlfriend or boyfriend, and you send that meme like, oh, it's happening, it's finally happening, everybody remains like, stay calm. So it's like there's a lot of quotable things and a lot of popular things that like people can use in real life there when it comes to memes and whatnot, just because I just believe like a lot of characters say a lot of quotable things, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I think it's one of the main things when it comes to online. I'm trying to like read what I wrote down on here. Oh yeah, like some of the jokes are very long lasting, although some of them might not pass today. I still believe some of them are like, long lasting and people will find them actually funny. I'm trying to find like a specific joke that may not seem offensive, because like a lot of these jokes are offensive. Like there are some like race, like not race, like there are jokes that involve about race, sexuality and stuff like that, and sometimes it can get a little bit too much when it comes to today's, like, if some jokes will not pass now, just because the world is changing and people are becoming more aware of what's going on, and The Office sometimes may not pass that, just because if they made the jokes now, yeah, we're not sure if it would pass. But yeah, some of the jokes still do sort of like last long, and some of them are very popular and actually funny, and yeah, that's why it sort of like sticks around still, because Michael Scott and Steve Carell, we all know Steve Carell. He's a very funny guy in general. He's very good when it comes to improv, and I know a lot of his scenes and a lot of his jokes were improv that he made there. And just seeing that, like, I guess, funny ability on the show was very prominent, and that's why a lot of people resonate with it. And there's a lot of certain factors that sort of deal with why The Office is very popular in social media, and I just honestly think people just like it, and people like to share it. The idea of The Office and what it is, it's very hard to explain. The interactions between other people online and sort of the reasons on why it is popular, but to just like, I guess, break it down, it's just popular because it's good. Personally for me, it's not like I said, it's not my top 5 or top 3, but it is my top 10. It was one of the very first shows actually I've ever binge watched fully. I don't like starting shows personally. I like to watch movies just because there's an end result fairly quickly, and I have no patience to go through several seasons just to get an end result. And watching The Office was hard at first because I hated Michael Scott's character, like as the character, did not like him at all. But as you continue to watch the show, then you kind of start to ease up to him a little bit more, and Yeah, I think that's also another reason why people like tend to talk about um, reasons on why they like The Office a lot, just because it's so, there's a lot of complex plots and a lot of complex characters on the show, and which makes it very interesting to watch. And for example, like the Stanley, like although he stays, his I guess his personality sort of stays stagnant throughout the whole entire show. He has a lot of quotable lines. He has he has a lot of scenes that show himself who he truly is, or show a different side of him, and that's why a lot of people sort of like his character. And throughout the show, you maybe will be like, oh, Stanley's boring, but then a certain episode sparks your interest in Stanley's character, and that sort of goes on for other characters too throughout the show. And people talk about that on social media. People talk about there's a lot of forums and things that talk about these things about on social media. I think Reddit is one of the main things that's popping in my head right now. Like there will definitely be Reddit threads that will be talking about deep deep things about the show itself, theories or even ideas or oh, this is the reason why this happened. So there's a lot of it creates a lot of buzz, the whole show itself. And it's, I think one of the other reasons that just came into my head right now is because it's different, but also at the same time, it's not a dangerous leap that they're taking. There are certain shows that people have crazy ideas for, but they don't execute it properly. And with The Office, it wasn't much of a risk they're taking to produce the show, just because it's quite simple. It's just, the pitch was it's just a show in the office, and that's it. There's no risk to it because it's a very simple idea. There's no magic wizards or aliens or anything like that invading the show. It's more just, here's a simple workspace, and let's see the interaction between them. So I think that's the reasons why people tend to talk about it and relate it too much to social media, because it's real and it's very popular right now. And I think I think that's really it when it comes to The Office. This was a very weird sort of section to really talk about, because I wanted to talk about The Office, but it relates to social media, just because, and something I've noticed social media loves The Office. People on there love The Office, and I just want to know why. Why do people post about it so much? Why do people quote it so much? Why do people repost things about it so much? And it really does still spark the even though I did answer some of these questions, there's still hundreds of ideas on why The Office is so popular on social media. And yeah, I think the ones I've listed are one of the main things, but there's definitely millions of other ideas on why it's lasted so long on social media. But I think that's really it for my sort of this segment. I kind of want to go on to the next one and flip the page a little bit, go on a different direction, and talk about something else. And again, it's going to be my opinion based sort of next segment. And I'm talking about why is Snapchat my least favorite form of social media. And there's I feel there's a deeper meaning to that, but yeah, I just want to know, I want to tell you why I'm not a big fan of Snapchat that much anymore. Used to be, but now I'm not. But we're going to take a quick break real quick, and I will see you all in a second.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. So this segment, I want to talk about sort of my little personal opinion on why Snapchat is my least favorite social media platforms. Like, don't get me wrong, I've used it ever since actually middle school. I think it's one of my first ones I've had, even before Instagram, but or a little bit after or whenever it came out. But I've been using it since middle school, so it's been quite a long time I've had Snapchat, and I'll tell you this, I've used it every day since I've had it. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I hate using it. Just because it's something... okay, wait, let me just like backtrack a little bit. So Snapchat has this thing where you have streaks with people, streaks. And basically streaks are like let me use this. Like, send a Snapchat to the person every single day. So if you've been sending a Snapchat to someone every day for around like 30 days, then you have a 30-day streak, and that goes on. And I think the longest, fun fact, the longest one I've had was like over 1,000 days, which is crazy. That's around like 3 years. But I'm not a big fan of streaks, in my opinion, because I just feel obligated to use the app just to answer someone. Even like someone I don't really even know that well. Obviously I can just end a streak, but like I don't want to be like mean or anything like that. But it's like that sort of mentality where like I have to answer or I have to Snapchat this one person once a day to keep our streak, and I just feel like it's like I don't want to feel obligated to like keep a streak going with someone I don't really talk to. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate that person. It's just like I don't need a streak to define my friendship with someone. Me interacting one-on-one with them is me with friends. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of streaks, in my opinion, that whole thing. I think it's just also another way for Snapchat to get their users hooked on the app and staying on. So, there's not a sense of guilt, but it's more of like a sense of responsibility to keep using Snapchat. And I've been using it for so long now, it's kind of like, honestly, it's probably just gotten a little bit boring for me. Like, I've been using the same app over and over again every day and responding to some of the same people. And, yeah, it's very interesting. I've heard many different opinions about Snapchat itself and why it's... A lot of people are just like people have posted on Snapchat like, oh, I don't like Snapchat, which is kind of funny because they're posting on there, but they're like, oh, I don't like Snapchat, I really don't like using it, and it's like it's not fun anymore, and it makes sense. I saw someone rant on there where if I'm sending you a picture of just my forehead every single day, that's not us talking. That's just a picture of my forehead you're getting every day. And it's true, they're not having conversations, and people have become so, I guess, like acclimated to just thinking Snapchat is the way of communication. It can be. That's the main, I think that's the main point of Snapchat. Actually, it's to communicate with others. But since sometimes people see it in more responsibilities type of way, they don't really put much effort into communicating with others. So like if I talk to a friend from like high school that I haven't talked to in like several years, and we just send a Snapchat of our foreheads or something like that, or like of my computer screen every day, that's not us talking. We're not catching up because we're not talking about anything. We're just sending pictures of random stuff to keep a streak that could die any day now. That could just end. So Snapchat is sort of lost. I feel like it's lost a sort of initial meaning throughout the years of me using it, or I guess throughout the years it's been out. Like, in the beginning I thought it was really cool. Like, oh cool, I get to meet I get to see my friends when I'm not even there with them. Like, even though I can't call them or something, like FaceTime call them, maybe I'll just like see pictures of them and it'll be cool or whatnot. And it was like, it was at its peak when there wasn't a lot of features added. There wasn't like other things added to it. It was more just communication based social media platform. And honestly, when it was just that only, where it was only just sending pictures, I feel like that's where it peaked, because there was no distractions, no other things they could do, no even chat feature. It was just pictures. And I feel like that's, again, like I said, like I feel like that's where it peaked, where that was the sole purpose. But then like these things like Spotlight was added, chat feature was added, like you can save things in chat was added. It sort of lost its initial purpose, and it's sort of like going into, well, why don't I just text message someone now? Why don't I just send them a text and send a picture of something? Hey, look at this new car that I got. Why don't, yeah, and I think that was the reason why Snapchat was so popular back then, was because it had that one sole feature that no other app did, was pictures. Obviously, Instagram had it, but Instagram's more posting. No one communicated ever with pictures before, so Snapchat really did sort of revolutionize that sort of whole idea, and it sort of lost its ways, in my opinion, when it comes to communication. And like I said before, no one ever communicates on Snapchat anymore. I barely talk to the people I have streaks with, just because, like, there's no point. Like, I can easily just text them at this point now, where I can just, yeah, I can, like I said, I can easily text them or send them a message like, hey, we should hang out sometime, or hey, we should talk. And Snapchat has just lost its sort of ways at this point, and it's kind of sad, just because I've been using it I've been using it for, I don't even want to count, because I'm definitely gonna mess this up. I'm probably like 7 years, 6, 7 years. I definitely was in middle school, like way before that, but I think I started using it heavily in like my freshman year. And Snapchat used to be fun. Like, I used to actively post on my stories like random silly stuff. Like, I remember, like, since they had the photo, like, drawing portion to it, where like you can like draw stuff on your picture. And there was one time I like took a picture of myself posing as Gandalf, and I drew like the beard and the hat, everything, saying like, "You shall not pass." And I posted that on my story, and I thought that was really funny. And people did, like, not to flex, but my middle school friends thought it was funny that I was doing that, and I would actively be doing different things on Snapchat. And I would try to get, like, more people engaged in it. I feel like before I felt like Snapchat was just one-on-one communication. Like, if you had a friend on there, you can talk to them easily. But like now, it's just like I'm posting stories to like to just post it. Like, I'm not really doing anything. I'm not, like, trying to get that one-on-one experience like I did before. It was more just posting, let me just post like my dinner. That's it. Like, no one's gonna react to that. No one cares enough. Or no, if I did what I did back then, it would probably be considered weird, in my opinion. And yeah, it's sort of lost its sort of ways throughout the years. And like I said before, it's really sad, because Snapchat was a lot of fun, and I was very active on it. I'm trying to remember some of the things I would post, because some of them are like actually kind of stupid compared to now. But it would just be like videos of me dancing to Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up." Just kidding, that's actually on my Instagram. But yeah, there's like just random videos of me doing random stuff, and with my friends too, and people like would react, and my friends would be like, "Oh, this is cool, this is funny," and like, that was the great thing about Snapchat. It was that one-on-one experience with your friends, and people getting reactions. And now it's like you can still get reactions from your stories, but it's more like business type of thing. It's less goofy. It's more serious when posting on your story. Like, oh, I gotta make this picture look so good to post on my story. It's gonna, have certain angle, certain filter, blah, blah, blah. And like, people put so much thought into it, sort of lost its way. And before, you just post a funny selfie and post on your story, and people will be like, oh, this is funny. Yeah, so it's an app that I want to get off of. I definitely can. But it's something that I'm sort of, I guess, used to, and it sucks because I'm so used to using the app itself. And yeah, and also I think it's one of the main ways that like people, I think it's bad for mental health too. Like social media can be bad for mental health, but I feel like Snapchat is one of the main things, because it's so driven on who's more popular, who has more followers, who gets more views. Granted, that's also for other social media apps too, but I think Snapchat is one of the main things too. Who gets more views in their story, and who gets more of this, and who gets more of that, and it's a lot more competition based, and people are so worried about what the story looks like or what their story is gonna be, and that's why I don't really post that much on Snapchat anymore, just because I only post to promote this podcast or my other podcast too. And I guess people are getting probably tired of that. But yeah, it's really interesting to like the change that at least the app itself has throughout the years, and my outlook on it, because Snapchat was my number one thing. Like, I would always, when I would make new friends, like, oh, what's your Snapchat? Oh, what's this? I'm like, oh, yeah, let me get your Snapchat or something like that. And that would always be my number one thing when making new friends or meeting new people. I always get a Snapchat. But like now, it's like no one even does that anymore. No one even asks for a snap. At least for me. Like, at least maybe, I don't want to say I'm old, but maybe I'm getting out of that age where I'm asking for Snapchats. And yeah. And I feel like Snapchat is something you don't really use when you get older, too. Like, I have a brother who used to be so active on it, and now he's 23 or 24, and just doesn't even use Snapchat anymore, which is really interesting. Like, maybe he's outgrowing it. Maybe that's the truth. Like, maybe I think he's just outgrowing Snapchat, and like maybe Snapchat's just for a younger audience, which I respect. A lot of things are for a younger audience, and yeah, it's really interesting to see like that change with it throughout the years. And I'm kind of just rambling on at this point when it comes to Snapchat, because one of my favorite features though that they added is the memories. Like, memories is one of my favorite things that I have about Snapchat. I've been talking so negatively about Snapchat. Let me say something positive. Well, I already forgot it now. Like a year ago, the memories feature, which is really cool. You're able to save, your like snaps into like a whole, I guess, quote unquote vault of, not vault, but like a whole like sort of database of pictures that you've taken throughout the years. And like, say a year ago from today, you save this picture, it shows up on your Snapchat, which is really cool because I'm able to see what I'm doing 4 years ago if I save the picture from that day. And that's one of my favorite things to do on Snapchat now, is just look through memories and reminisce my old days when I was first using Snapchat. And I think that's one of my favorite things. And I guess I still do like the aspect of taking pictures, but I feel like if people are more motivated to talk on there and actually use it for its real purpose, then it would go back to being such a great app. Like I said, people have become distracted to like spotlights or who has more views or who has more friends on Snapchat, then they've sort of lost the real purpose of Snapchat itself, and that makes me not want to use Snapchat anymore. So I wonder if I can get like a Snapchat counter. How many times I've said the word Snapchat in this podcast or this segment, I guess. And yeah, I mean, definitely, I would recommend using Snapchat for certain things, like business things, or if you want to make new friends, or if you want to reach out to a younger audience, definitely use Snapchat for that, because there's a large demographic still using Snapchat. So yeah. Overall, I'm still going to be using it within the next couple years or next couple months. Can't wait for the day for me to outgrow it and not care about streaks anymore. But yeah, and I think that's really it for the podcast for today, I guess. Thank you for listening to the podcast again. I kind of rambled on in this section, and talked about random things about Snapchat, but it really is a thought-provoking topic for me, at least. But yeah. This has been the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Again, I'm your host, Jose, and I want to say thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Any positive feedback really helps me as a host, and giving that feedback lets me know I'm doing something good. And please make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter and anything like that. Any support like that helps also, as the whole brand itself. And yeah, again, thank you for listening to the podcast, and I hope to see you all in the next episode soon. Peace.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.